So I want us to now switch to helping parents. So you can take any culture that best fits. Some of the challenges that parents have are like tantrums, sleeping challenges, children not willing to go to bed at a specific time or sleep in their own bed, anxiety, confidence issues. So maybe we should start with one of the challenges. Tantrums. So you're saying some
Yeah.
of these cultures, they don't have children exhibiting a lot of tantrums. So can you pick a culture and say, what are they doing right that Western families can take to reduce the level of tantrums that they experience?
Yeah. So I think all 2-3-year-olds have tantrums, like no matter where you go, but all 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds don't. I think is the, and then I think I think it will go up to the Arctic, because that's where I really learned how to handle Rosie's tantrums. So Rosie, my little girl, had horrible tantrums starting around 2.5. And I just felt like everything I did made things worse. And I would read in books and I would say what I was supposed to say and do what I was supposed to do. And I really didn't know what to do. Things were just getting worse and worse between us. And when we were up in the Arctic, this wonderful woman, Elizabeth Tugumia, who was the interpreter. She interpreted in Inuit Wisdom, the native language, to English. So we spent a lot of time with her, but she also just showed me so many amazing parenting tools. So she showed me how to handle Rosie's tantrums. And she showed me this way that, one, stops the tantrums in the moment, but also teaches Rosie very quickly how to settle herself down. And so what it is we were in the grocery store when I first saw it, and Rosie wanted like some headband or something, and she was starting to have a tantrum, and I was going to do what I normally do, which is first start just telling her to stop,
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? We can't do this right now. Just this like incredible amount of words. And what I realized eventually, high energy, right? So even though I was trying to be nice, and even though I was trying to like help her and calm her down, I was bringing all this very intense high energy to it. What's wrong? And eventually getting angry, at her, which was still very, very high energy. But Elizabeth saw this happening, and she walks over to Rosie with the lowest energy ever. Like, her face was calm, her body was calm. She didn't say anything. Rosie was screaming, and she was just at this, like, Rosie went high energy and Elizabeth just went super low. And she kind of whispered to Rosie, like, she pointed to this thing, and she asked Rosie a question, like very, very, very quietly. And Rosie just stopped. Like, Rosie was like stunned by her calmness, right? Like, nobody had ever come at her at a tantrum with this like calmness. And she kind of answered her question. And then Elizabeth just kind of stood there, and it was done. It was over. The tantrum was done. And she did it again. Like, we were walking somewhere, and she did it again when Rosie kind of was laying in the road having a tantrum. And so what I realized, and she didn't tell me this, but what I realized from watching her was like, I was doing it all wrong. I was coming at Rosie with a lot of desire to help her. I wanted to help her, but with this really high energy state myself. Lots of words, lots of commands, eventually anger. And what Rosie needed was me to be just near her in a very, very calm state, and show her the state that she needed to be in. And what this does is children's emotions and energies mirror their parents very, very closely. Mm-hmm. And so really, when I was going high energy, it was just making Rosie go higher energy. But when I started to learn to be calm, she came down with me. And it was incredible. Once I learned to stay calm, which can be really hard when a child is really angry, hitting you. It took me a few months to really learn it. And of course, I still make mistakes. But once I started just being very calm, sometimes touching her. So we forget how powerful, like, a very gentle touch is, how powerful touch is to a child. We think everything is kind of fixed with words, but in a lot of cultures, it's about physicality. And, sometimes Rosie will be upset in the car, and I'll just reach over and kind of gently touch her foot. And that's really it.
Yeah.
And their tantrums went from like one every day, every other day to like one a month. I mean, like really quickly, you know, she's 6 now. She doesn't have tantrums anymore. Sometimes she gets mad, but you know,
Yeah,
but you know,
it fits the neuroscience work though, because
very much
the mirror neurons, when you are
That's
high,
right.
your child will become high. And if you go with that high energy, all you're doing is activating the amygdala to go off even more. And
Right.
they stay in that downstairs fight, flight, freeze even longer. So you really have to do the connection first in a calm way to reactivate the upstairs brain before you can do anything else. So it's amazing that in this traditional culture, it's the same thing that neuroscientists are now seeing with the brain and how the upstairs and downstairs brain works. So the primitive brain and the prefrontal cortex. So these people who have been around for thousands of years have figured out how to just remain calm and mirror that calmness and that connection before you can, you know, encourage your child to do anything. It's absolutely amazing.
It is amazing, like how they know all this neuroscience, right?
Like, so you know, West is finally catching up to them.
That's right.
The next